mà này chỉ cần cắm đi mà mưa sạch này đi và mưa kinh prey ghê xa đó mà prey ghê cửa hàng này bây giờ mới đủ bà khi áo chanh hả ok bằng phone sư đây ngày nay mà chỉ rút dùn bus và cái thả bus tour này mà bus tour nó nằm bay chỉ mưa sát bà nơi cái này xuân đi bà ở đây nhung đừng trâu tam trọ này làm bay từ tầm rong chua kia làm bay làng rút dùn bus đào mưa cầm san sắt prey và lại những nhà để miền câu miền trao ấy cái đại cái hào tha stroller và stroller lại như cái mình ăn được nhạt ở vô stroller châu từ nông ấy bà này chỉ trọ châu từ chi rút dùn mà đàm chơi đi xa đó mà bố mình sạc vía này và thôm lỗ này mưa fly vía không bố cái nhớ và fly vía này bà lấy môn nâng châu lắm lại ní để kéo những thọ rụp mà môn nâng làng thì chi rột dùn bờ nắng thì miền cho những thọ rụp đảm bay tục chia nụ sao đi để dương mà lên tin đi bà dương thọ thái trong vô rụp dương của bán mình vô của bàn bà đây lại cái thọ rụp bà lại lấy thọt lại cái thọt rút nó hơi bà lại lấy lại cái thọt rút mình bà lấy thọt rút hay lấy mà trâu thành này mình mình được trao mình tên không bao mình được món chua chăm chi lan nằm bay cầm san mưa sắt prey bà mình được chờ nó bao bao nơi mà tầm rong chua làm mấy chi lán bên rồi và là cái cầm phong tay là một cal từ một mình tách mà đo mà được trao mình tên mà tầm rong chua bà hàng này cầm miền mẹ chi hàng cào này bà rốt dun đất nhiều đào mưa sạch nắng và nè chỉ càng cao khi tầm hoàng chu càng nó hay cái đi bà đại kia ông tôi được này càng cao mình cái hào thà lower deck và lower deck cái nhóm thời lang từ lư và lang từ lư những chi nơi cái hào thà upper deck và đi sập cuộc nhóm mang ở vùng đại rồng chám lang từ chi kháng upper deck bà là đi cầm phong tay phơi tầm na từ lang hàng lưa bà anh đi nè chỉ hàng cao mà này nè chỉ hàng cao đi ấp sơ miên mà đưa chi sóc mà nè trong là từ hàng lưa xuôi mưa là tê sập tiệp à cùng là lang ta bông bông lại đi lang từ làn mà đây mưa thực hộ mình mà đi càng cào được chờ nó bông được hàng lưa đi bà lời ní bà lời chỉ bay hàng lưa thì mình được chờ nó bông này mưa bị lư tới khơi che mà bông bố nơi nè đây cái ấp chi láng ở đào trong bàn mà đào nó bay hàng cào mà cái đào mưa xuân sạch rồi có mò cầm san rồi thì như vậy và tái cái nhóm chi lan ngày này bà lấy chinh tầm nào hay bông bố chinh tầm nào hả ấy
and bus driver for the next 35 to 40 minutes as we explore our world famous zoo grounds. Now, we have animals from all across the globe, 5 different continents that we're going to see here today. And I'm going to tell you guys different ways these animals are going to survive in the wild. Maybe some ways they can affect their own environment, and different ways we can help them out. You might already know we are a non-profit organization here. And just by visiting our zoo today, you guys have already contributed to the work we do with wildlife all across the globe. So thank you so much for coming. As we look to our right, we're going to be finding the Caribbean flamingos, the first animal of the tour. On either side of those
នៅ
flamingos,
អ្នក
we're going to have
ដើរថ្មើរជើងវាច្រើនមែនតើនៅខាងក្រោម
great apes like the bonobos, orangutans, and our gorillas. Also, we have that area to our left. It's going to be the exit side, of course. Past that exit side, we have our reptile walk and the wildlife explorers base camp. Over there, you'll be able to find species like the Galapagos tortoises, the fennec foxes, and our axolotl.
បាទឥឡូវនេះយើងជិះចូលដើម្បីទៅមើលសត្វផ្សេងផ្សេងហ្នឹងហើយបាទ
All on the inside of the bus. Another thing to remember is to keep
បាទផ្លូវដែលយើងជិះចូលមើលទៅដែលយើងជិះចូលទៅក្នុងព្រៃអញ្ចឹងបាទ
stand up to get a better view. Just please stand on the floor, not the chairs. Hold on to something if you are going to stand, and only stand if we are going slow on flat ground or if we are stopped on a hill. All right, with all that out of the way, our first species is going to be on the right. Now, when I was a kid, I actually grew up right here in San Diego. I am a local, and when I was coming to the San Diego Zoo, this was the first animal I always made my mom take me to. On your right-hand side, we're looking for the apex predator of the Malaysian Peninsula, going to be our Malayan tiger. Now, we have 2 tigers over here. You're only going to see one at a time, though. Tigers are solitary animals, right? They're going to have only one tiger per territory to kick out other members of their species from their part of the forest. To find them, we're going to look in the top right corner. That's where I think we generally see our most activity. You're looking for that bright orange coat of fur. That's their camouflage in the rainforest. Orange doesn't seem like it should work. The first one is from the African savanna. The second is from the African forest. From the savanna, I have the river hippos. The third largest animal that walks on the planet Earth, getting over 3,500 pounds. And behind those hippos from the African forest is our okapi. You might look at those black and white stripes on their back legs and think the okapi might be related to zebras. Really, they're the closest living relative of giraffes.
សត្វ
The
hippo
okapi
សត្វ
and
hippo
giraffes look so different because they live in different areas. The okapi is native to the Central African rainforest. That's why they're so dark to blend in with the shadows of the forest. And giraffes live on the African savanna. On the left in there, you can see our baby okapi, born in early September of last year. One of the things we do for our endangered species is breeding programs. Okapi have really low population numbers, and they're losing habitat out in the wild. But when we give them a safe place to increase their population, this helps make sure there's lots of okapis all across the world, so that once their habitat is protected and secure, we can bring the okapi back into those forests and reintroduce them to their environment. Now, those hippos. Usually we don't see the hippos on the tour because hippos will live in the river. Their skin is very sensitive to the sun.
មកមើលសត្វនៅនេះបាទមើលឃើញព្រៃគេស្អាតបាទព្រៃគេក្រាស់ក្រាស់បាទដើមឈើខ្ពស់ខ្ពស់នៅនេះ
It's a red-tailed lynx, and there you'll also find Allen swamp monkey. The 2 types of monkeys that share this habitat. These are African monkeys. You will see in there all of their climbing structures. That's something called enrichment. Enrichment is everything we'll give to our animals that provide some form of stimulation, like something fun to do or a new experience. So think about in the wild, monkeys like to play. They like to climb on trees and branches. They'll be doing that all over the place in the wild. And so to provide them the ability to do a natural behavior that we know they have fun doing, we give them the ability to climb. And this is the kind of thing we're going to give to all of our animals all across the zoo. You'll see so many different forms of enrichment. You just have to look a little bit closer sometimes. Now here we're surrounded by birds. I have the African flamingos on our left, also called the greater flamingo.
Flamingo បាទនេះ Flamingo
Flamingo species. Up the hill to your right is Eagle Trail. Up there we can find our harpy eagle. Well, actually, I can right now see one of our Andean condors. That is the largest bird by wingspan that's going to be flying in the Americas. One of the largest
ជី
birds
ឡាន
in the world.
ដើរមើលសត្វបាទ
And another eagle you'll be able to find on Eagle Trail. It looks like you can see one of our stellar sea eagles over here on the ground on the left. Pretty lucky sight to see. Easier to find is our cormorants on the left over here. These are African cormorants known as the white-breasted cormorant. We do have our own cormorants native right here to Southern California. And you'll often find them on the coast or the wetlands doing that. See that cormorant in there that's got his wings out, flapping them on the ground? He's not trying to fly, he's trying to dry off. Cormorants dive underwater and swim around like here, where just the male will grow antlers. But for these lesser doo they look a little bit like our deer species because they're different from that, especially when they're where the females don't have the horns. The hills are down by the over there. We can see any over there activity. So we're just going to keep on moving. We have plenty of species on the right hand side as we climb up this hill. And even more all across the zoo for us. Fine. So on the right, we're going to find our first South American species, the Chihuahuan peccary. No, that is not a pig. Peccaries are a New World animal. Pigs are an Old World animal. So all of the wild feral pigs here in America are invasive from Europe. These peccaries, they live in a desert in South America where they take their flat noses and they roll cacti around on the ground to remove their spines. So the peccaries can eat those cacti.
នេះគេតំងជួគ្នាជីកត្រកលើអាកាសបាទនេះ បាទនេះគេចេញមកបាទជីកត្រក
The free aerial tram all the way over the top of this kind of rocky ledge.
បាទថ្ងៃនេះសបោមនុស្សមែនតើបាទនាំគ្នាមកកំសាន្តបាទនៅទីនេះបាទ
Kind of sunrise and sunset time. This is when they're going to be the best, the most successful hunters. But don't see a lot of them in their prey during these kind of medium light times. However, it also means that right now they put it. Yeah, sure. These guys were actually a brother and sister born at the safari park of Escondido.
នេះយើងឃើញ lion បាទនេះសត្វតោ
See what they're doing right now?
សត្វភ្ញៀវនេះបាទនេះ
Classic lion experience. Lions will sleep up to 20 hours a day. Wow. And they do this to conserve their energy. So, lions are the top predator of the African savanna. However, they're only...
មើលខាងនេះវិញទេសភាពគេស្អាតណាស់បាទខាងនេះ
These things are going to break up the territory that these cats control into a bunch of small, disconnected patches of the forest. And that makes it hard for them to find their food and their mates. So,
ដើមចេកអាមេរិកាំង
things we can do to help out our wild jaguars. In the Amazon rainforest, coffee production is causing a lot of this habitat fragmentation down there, which is why we promote shade grow coffee. Solutions we love to
ខាងនោះ
promote
ដំរីបាទសត្វដំរី
sustainable alternatives to these industries. And next up on your right, it is elephant time. I've got our two African elephants We have 4 elephants here at the zoo. These are 2 of our males. If you look all the way back on the right, we've already passed by one of the males. He's passed by one of those other fake trees. These fake trees are called our utility. They look like trees and they provide lots of utility, like providing heating, shade, and holding knock them down. Getting over 14,000 pounds means these guys do not see trees as a worthy obstacle. They can shove their tusks under the roots and just completely uproot a tree. This will allow them to grab all of the leaves and branches off of those trees to eat them. It also makes elephants into an ecosystem engineer. You see, by knocking over trees, elephants are physically defining their landscape. The trees on the African savanna, eventually, without elephants, they will animals.
ផ្កាម្ដាមនេះស្អាតហើយបាទឡើងក្រហមហ្មង
What do we do for that? So if you look to your right, this is the Elephant Care Center and the Elephant Research Center. Please be in that we are researching elephants. Given that they're so big, they're also very dangerous out in the wild.
នេះទេសភាពដែលយើងកំពុងជិះឡានមើលសត្វបាទនៅនេះ
Other predator coming after their young. Violently. Right, so we
ទេស
don't
ភាព
really
វា
want
ស្អាត
to
មួយ
send
យ៉ាង
out
ដែរបាទ
researchers to those wild elephant herds. But here at the zoo, it's very safe for us to study our elephants. Now, this came very in handy. That have animals here at the zoo, we can help their species all the way across the world in their natural environment. On the right-hand side, we're looking at camels, dromedary camels. These camels have one hump on their back as a dromedary. And that chewer, I hear people say water and fat. One of those answers is correct. I need you all to join a team. Are you team water or team fat? The winning team earns a high five from me, yours truly, at the end of this tour. So choose wisely. The Torrey pine, where you'll get to look at a lot of our beautiful endangered Torrey pine. On your right is the California condors. This is the largest species of bird that flies in North America. Their wingspan is almost 10 feet wide. That means it sat right next to me and it spread its wings out all the way. Both wingtips would go out both windows of the bus. These birds are huge. But the most amazing thing about them, back in the year 1982, there were only 22 California condors left. But these days, have you noticed it yet? These are all plants. These aren't animals.
សត្វសេក
That's on purpose. This is one of our planted gardens. As a conservation group, sure, we can take care of the top of the food chain. We can take care of all the lions. But then we're not taking care of the ecosystem. We need to preserve the top of the food chain and the bottom of the food chain too. That's why we're a botanical garden with 1 million plants of 7,000 species across both locations. Now all across the zoo, we're going to have a bunch of exotic, ornamental, and endangered plants. Right over there on the right in that Africa rocks garden, we have some amazing plant species, like the baobab tree, a tree that some will chew on it to get water out of
មនុស្ស
that wood.
មកលេងច្រើនមែនតើបាទនេះ
Also over there,
ព្រោះខាងនេះវិញសឹកមនុស្ស
which
ខ្លះតំងជួទិញម្ហូបទិញចំណីបាទ
wild. The loneliest
នេះកន្លែងគេលក់ម្ហូប
cannot be found in the wild, only in botanical gardens like ours. And that's the wood cycad. You'll find it over there in Africa Rock. Now on the right-hand side, we're passing by the urban jungle. All right, this is a smaller part of our zoo with some of our bigger animals. Things like the giraffe, the rhino, and our cheetah. All are found in the urban jungle. Don't forget to check out that part of our zoo. Next up, we're coming through Bear Canyon. We're looking for 3 species of bear, starting with our first bear, the sloth bear. going to be in this habitat, the second one down. Looks like we're on the left-hand side. I got mama bear and there's two cubs. These cubs were born as part of the
សត្វវានេះសត្វដែលខ្លាឃ្មុំ
the species survival
They clack
plan.
them.
That's one of the breeding programs we do, that we work with every other zoo that has the same endangered species as us. And it's where we're looking into their DNA. Think about the condors. There were 22 of them left. That means they were already kind of closely related. If we did not plan that breeding program, then they would have inbreeding problems later down the line. And that is the worry with all of our endangered. So they're going to see people more often than most other bears, which is going to skew the data, makes them attack people more often. Any bear that sees a lot of humans is going to attack a lot of humans. We don't mix. And that is what brings me down in Montana. These are our grizzly bears, some of our very few wild-born animals here at the zoo.
ខ្លាឃ្មុំនេះដែរបាទខ្លាឃ្មុំពណ៌ដូចក្រហមបាទ
Not Scout in Montana. They were born in Idaho near Yellowstone National Park. And their mom taught them to forage for food.
អូអានេះខំ
Not by going out into the wild, but
គួ
by
យយកបង
going
ប្អូនឃើញខ្លាឃ្មុំកំពុងតែអង្គុយ
garbage cans and dumpsters. This is not a safe way for a bear to find food. Every time wildlife professionals would find them, bring them back out into the wild, Scout in Montana would find their way back to human areas. And they say these guys aren't safe for survival out in the wild. They didn't know how to get food, and they were not afraid of humans. And bears and people, we're supposed to be afraid of each other. They can hurt us, we can hurt them. So, because they like humans, they needed to come to a zoo like ours. And they were recommended to us, because we're a pretty amazing world-class facility. Now there, because if you look at their face, they have little white markings around their face, like they're wearing a pair of glasses.
ទីកំពុងតែរៀបរាប់
Andean bears
ប្រាប់
are the
អំពី
only
ប្រ
species
ភេទ
of
សត្វខ្លា
bears
ឃ្មុំហ្នឹង
native
បាទ
to South America. And they're going to be an arboreal bear. Whoa, that was a science word. Arboreal. Let's break it down. Arbor means tree. So arboreal means tree dwelling. These bears will live in the trees for most of their life. They're going to spend most of the time they're alive off of the forest floor, up in some branches somewhere. They can use their claws to manipulate the tree branches.
បាទមើលខាងនេះវិញបាទព្រៃឡើងភៀវបៃតងបាទព្រៃបាទយើងអាចដើរតាមច្រកនេះក៏បានដែរបាទឡើងទៅលើខាងក្នុងព្រៃខាងលើហ្នឹងបាទវាមានផ្លូវឲ្យយើងដើរ
Logo on any wood or paper product that you're buying. FSC stands for Forestry Stewardship Council, and that means you're buying sustainably harvested wood or paper products. Now, the other day, me and my roommate were talking. He had just bought some chicken broth. It came in a cardboard box. And I noticed there was the FSC logo on this cardboard box. And I went, what? On this chicken broth? I didn't realize that was sustainable. And then I looked at some other cardboard boxes I had. My tin foil, my pancake mix, my oatmeal, all comes from sustainable
កន្លែងនេះវិញក៏កន្លែងប្រជុំជនមួយដែរបាទកន្លែងគេលក់ម្ហូបអាហារនិងភេសជ្ជៈផ្សេងៗបាទកន្លែងនេះកន្លែងនេះកន្លែងគេឈប់សម្រាកដើម្បីបរិភោគចំណីអាហារ
You might already have purchased sustainable wood products. This is Plaza
បាទមនុស្សច្រើនណាស់ខាងនោះបាទមកជ្រក់ដើរខាងនោះហើយ
Food. If you look over to your left, you're also going to find the place in line to go find
កន្លែងនេះកន្លែងគេកំងម្ហូបឲ្យគេយកមកអង្គុយកន្លែងតុកនេះបាទគេរៀបចំសម្រាប់អ្នកមកលេងនៅទីនេះបាទកន្លែងនេះព្រៃគេរៀបចំនេះស្អាតមែនតើ
with the same white-breasted cormorant found in the other zone.
បាទមានកន្លែងគេរៀបចំដើរលេងមានសัตว์ định sạch xì sạch đấy và cái phong mưa được hàng cào
Don't penguins want to live in cold places? Not San Diego. Well, these African penguins actually come from a very similar climate to what we get to enjoy here in San Diego. It's called a Mediterranean climate. Go ahead and feel what February is like. Yeah, that's right. It's not winter. There is no winter here in San Diego. We don't have 4 seasons. We have 2. We have wet season and dry season. That means during a couple months of the year, we get all of the rain, and then the rest of the year we have sunny skies and warmer temperatures. That's what these penguins are used to. Now, these guys are an endangered species, partly because we used to harvest their poop. That's right, penguin guano set them up on those old coastlines the penguins don't live anymore. And now they can nest and poop there, and eventually they'll be able to nest it naturally once again. So we're helping our African penguins decolonize their old territory. Next up, we have the rock on the left. It looks like the leopard is a little bit active over there right now. Pretty lucky.
วันนี้เลเปิดมาโน่เลเปิดว่าโอ้คลาโน่คลาว่ะ
Live on the African savanna and the African forest, as well as some leopards live in Asia. Predators like hyenas or painted dogs. However,
ได้จะเลเปิด
they have to be
เลเปิด
very
คลา
strong to do this because
Claw.
their prey, the antelope they're hunting, can weigh up to 2 to 3 times more than the leopard does. So they have to be very athletic to get their leftovers up these trees. Now leopards and those other big cats in Africa sometimes get together and they play some poker. The leopards always lose though. Everyone else they play against is either good at lions or they're a cheetah. Here in California, it's not really that bad to think though. You see, long ago, we planted a bunch of eucalyptus trees here in California. We brought them from Australia, actually. The idea was that eventually they were going to grow up super tall and be a good source of wood for the timber industry. Turns out eucalyptus grows kind of twisted and it does not make a good building material. So now we don't use it for timber. We just have a ton of eucalyptus all over the place, taking the space for our native torrey pine and other native plants. So, if any of you guys would like to help out San Diego's native ecosystem and you live around here, plant some of our native plants in your backyard or garden. Right? Things like arrowleaf milkweed or black sage or even buckwheat. All these animals or all these plants are amazing for our native pollinators. I think it's just random. With all that being said, our tour is now coming to an end. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hope you guys had fun and if you learned something new, either about our animals or about our zoo. Because big takeaway, here in the San Diego Zoo, we don't have animals because they're pretty or fun to look at. We have these species here because we can actively help them. We can help them survive here and all the way out across the globe. Through the research that we're doing, the breeding programs.
អូខេបងប្អូនឥឡូវនេះមកដល់កន្លែងចំណតវិញបាទឥឡូវគេបើកទ្វារឲ្យចេញហើយបើកទ្វារឲ្យចេញពីលើរថយន្តដើរមើលសត្វអំបញ្ញមិញបាទ
Alrighty. You guys are all good to start coming on out.
អូខេឥឡូវចេញទៅវិញចេញពីឡានណាបាទបងប្អូនអានេះគេហៅថាសត្វទីងកុងបាទនេះសត្វទីងកុងបាទមើលមុខវាបាទមិនធម្មតាទេបាទសត្វទីងកុងនេះបាទឡើងកញើបាទបងប្អូនផ្កានៅស៊ូបាទនៅស៊ូកន្លែងសត្វហ្នឹងបាទមើលនេះបាទផ្កានេះស្អាតមែនតើបាទខ្ញុំមិនដែលឃើញសោះពណ៌នេះរៀងពណ៌លឿងលាយជាមួយពណ៌ដូចផ្កាឈូកបាទស្អាតមែនតើណាបងប្អូនផ្កានេះ ខេបងប្អូនឥឡូវនេះចុះពីលើឡានវិញហើយបាទឥឡូវនេះខ្ញុំនឹងធ្វើដំណើរត្រឡប់ទៅវិញណាបាទបាទអញ្ចឹងថ្ងៃនេះបាទខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណបងប្អូនដែលបានទស្សនាចូលរួមដើរលេងកម្សាន្តជាមួយខ្ញុំជិះរថយន្តបឺសដើម្បីមើលសត្វនៅទីក្រុងសាន់ឌីហ្គោនេះបាទអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូមអរគុណនិងជម្រាបលាបងប្អូនត្រឹមនេះសិនបាទបាយបាយ